Okay, who's got anything they want to raise? Yeah. Good.
I'm just wondering if the government, if they base their, just say they're doing ethical decisions on things, if we base some of our decisions on sort of a Catholic faith, what's the base or the framework that they think something is ethical or not ethical?
Okay, well, there are people in this audience who would know this a lot better than I do, but my understanding of Christian social teaching is that we try to work out what a sensible human being, in all the circumstances, motivated by the better angels of our nature, would want to do. And let's think of a few things. Slavery. Why are we against slavery? Because in the end, it doesn't conform to the golden rule of Christian ethics, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Why are we against abortion? Well, because it's extinguishing a potential life. And what right have I to extinguish a potential life other than for the saving, the real saving of another life, certainly not for anyone else's convenience. Why are we against killing without very good cause? Because of that golden rule, again, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And the whole point of this, the whole foundation of this golden rule is, it seems to me, that fundamental Christian insight that God so loved the world that he sent his only Son. And it's because every human being is equal in dignity and equal in worth in the eyes of God that we think that everyone's got to be treated with respect, and basically you can't do anything to anyone that you wouldn't at a pinch be prepared to have that person do back to you. That's my simple-minded understanding of it all. Up the back.
At the start, you mentioned that distinction between the secular social justice issues, which people tend to think are championed by good Catholics, and I guess the life issues, which are also social justice issues in their own right, which tend to be championed by bad Catholics.
Yeah, evil conservatives, people like that.
Yeah, I guess
supporters of Cardinal Pell.
I guess there's a couple of issues. Firstly, why does that distinction exist? And do you think that's undermining church mission that we tend to label Catholics or Christians into two separate camps like that?
Look, that's a very good point you make, and there's possibly implicit in it a bit of a challenge. I don't want to be party political here, although it might be difficult to entirely avoid party politics. Kevin Rudd wrote an essay in the Monthly in October 2006 where he drew a very sharp distinction between Catholics who he said were always going on about sexual morality and Christians who he said should be more concerned with the social gospel, social justice, etc. And the truth is that, well, I think the truth is that if you are a fair income Christian, there are some things that you are obliged to accept, and there are other things which you aren't obliged to accept. Now, I think if you're a fair income Christian, you're obliged to think that abortion is wrong. Not that it won't happen, but nevertheless that it is something that we shouldn't be happy about. And you're obliged to want to do the right thing by your fellow human being. You're obliged to want to give a fairer deal to the battler and all that. But you aren't obliged to accept socialism or capitalism or the free market or any particular in-between variant. And I think the problem with the social gospel people is that they tend to think that economic policy is more important than fundamental human morality, and I think that they tend to believe that some economic policies are more ordained of God than others, and I think that when it comes to economics, it's basically a prudential judgment, what works, and I think that the record of economics over the last century or so is that, for all its faults, capitalism tends to work better, preferably humanised, ameliorated, and with a strong social security network. Capitalism works better than socialism in its various forms. Yeah. Up there. You. Yes.
Thank you. During your part of the broadcast just there, you mentioned our government 17 times. I thought I was going to talk about like abortion. And what's your stance on abortion? When is it allowed? When shouldn't it be allowed? And are there any exceptions?
Well, the traditional teaching, as I understand it, is that abortion is only morally justifiable if it is absolutely necessary to save the life of the mother. Now, if I've got it wrong, would some of the experts please correct me, but that's my own not very tutored understanding. Now, that's the traditional moral view. Now, the law, as we know, as it has evolved through judgments of courts in Victoria and New South Wales, is essentially abortion on demand. Now, as a moralist, I take the traditional view. As a politician, I'm in a difficult position because I have got to appeal to a whole lot of people who don't necessarily have the same ethical view of this as I do. So, what do I say? I say that, in my opinion, every abortion is a tragedy, and we would be better off if we had far, far fewer of them, that it is our hardness of heart as a society, as well as our hardness of heart as individuals, which leads to the abortion rates that we've got. And what I think we ought to do is to try to give the message to every unexpectedly pregnant woman that we want to give her support in all reasonable ways. We will try to support her, and whatever decision she makes, we will accept her. But if she happens to make what we think is the best decision, well, obviously we'll try to make it as easy as possible for her. And that's what that pregnancy support counselling measure that the government brought in was all about. It wasn't about saying everyone who has an abortion has done the wrong thing. It wasn't about saying that you couldn't have abortions because the law says you can. It was about saying don't feel compelled by society to have an abortion. And the underlying mindset was that just as once upon a time anyone who got unexpectedly pregnant was expected to have the baby and offer the baby up for adoption, we've gone from one side to the other side, where particularly if you're a bright girl with a big future, you're more or less expected to get rid of the problem through abortion. And that is at least as equally unempowering as the old way, and we want to try to get away from it. So that's my complex and slightly messy way of handling this very difficult situation.